Throughout the morning, we've spoken to senior members of the Conservatives, Labour and the Liberal Democrats, all with more election promises to get your vote out on the 4th of July, this being a manifesto week. They're setting out their promises clearly today and in the coming days, we hope, or are they? We're joined again now by the Mail's Andrew Pearce, by the Mirror's Kevin Maguire.
This is a first.
Yeah.
You've stuck around.
It makes me feel like it's 6:30 in the morning. It's a bit weird,
Doesn't it?
I know, kind of, what's going on?
I've kept him off the coffee. You're all right. You don't need a taser, you know.
I drink decaffeinated tea.
Do you feel safer?
I do.
Do you feel safer now
No.
than back in 2010
No.
when the Conservatives first came into government?
No, and look...
And you speak as a Conservative.
Well...
right-leaning.
Yeah, right-leaning. Look, the Tories, I'm delighted they're going to hire an extra 8,000 police officers. They've got a lot of catching up to do because... inexplicably and unforgivably, when Theresa May was Home Secretary, they axed 20,000 police officers because she said they weren't needed. They were needed, and even though they've replaced them, and we're now going to get 8,000 more, some of those officers who went were experienced police officers, and they've been replaced by rookie cops, and it's not the same. And you don't see police officers, and that's partly to do with operational stuff. They're always pursuing hate crime on screens. You don't see police officers out there, and that is a real problem. And they're also closing too many police stations.
Kevin, what did you think about Chris Philp saying the reason that we feel less safe is because social media amplifies any of the crimes?
Yeah, you tell that to anybody who's been attacked with a knife or been mugged or being a victim of crime.
It's kind of is horrible too.
It's insulting, and it is, again, you can be in government too long and you can become remote. I was watching and listening to him, and I thought, oh, God, this is Matt Hancock without the charm. He just doesn't get how people feel, but people feel because of what they see and what they hear. And it's not social media, it's from friends, it's family, it's neighbours, it's colleagues, it is workmates. And the Tory party, and you know, used to be the Tory, or present itself as the Tory party of law and order. You look at what's happened now. People have been released early from prisons because they're full. The courts are clogged and not working. You ring for a police officer. I'm not blaming the police officers for this, but you ring for a police officer, and you probably have to wait a long time, and they'll say, unless you're being physically attacked or the burglar is in your house at that time, it's going to take, because they're overburdened. They're overwhelmed. And he just didn't get it.
And if I had £1 for every Home Secretary, and this is going back 20, 30 years, said, we're going to cut the paperwork for the police officers, they never do. These police officers say they're spending too much time doing paperwork.
If you don't get the paperwork right, then the cases fall apart in court.
One of the
big
big mistakes of this government, and we always look at the 20,000 police officers who were given their marching orders, they slashed civilian staff.
Exactly.
So uniformed police officers have to do the work that you had other people
20,000 backroom staff they cut at the same time as they cut 20,000 police officers. I asked, do you, the viewers, the voters, feel safer? Beverley, no, I don't feel safe. I'm severely disabled. 2 boys put my windows through twice in 10 minutes. The police are not even looking into it, even though Beverley has CCTV. Alex says, after 14 years of cuts, the Tories are now saying they'll recruit more police officers. They're going to do it. They should have done it by now. Have they not no other new policies to announce? Dave, maybe I've missed something, but have they not had 14 years to do this?
Well, this is a charge that they're going to face all the time, because there's been a blizzard of policy ideas. A lot of them I've agreed with and welcomed. Yeah. But that is the criticism. Why not before?
Beverley and everybody else should be able to feel safe in their homes and safe when you go on the streets. And it is a failure of government if people do not feel safe.
We spoke also to Bridget Phillipson this morning, not just the policing minister Chris Philp, who we've just spoken to, but Bridget Phillipson, who's Shadow Education Secretary. She's back in the classroom. I asked her about her colleague, Emily Thornberry, who admitted yesterday that if parents who have to pay extra VAT on their private school fees take their children out of private schools and put them into state schools locally, Emily Thornberry had said, yes, you're just going to have to put up with bigger class sizes. No parent or teacher wants to hear about bigger class sizes. This is what Bridget Phillipson told us.
So I'm afraid that Emily wasn't correct in what she said just there, partly because actually the number of students arriving at state schools is falling. So take primary schools, for example. There are currently 6,500 spare places in primary schools. That's due to rise to 800,000 by 2027. And the situation right across the country is falling pupil numbers.
So, Andrew, it seems like her colleague needs to get back in the classroom.
I actually think Emily Thornberry let the cat out the bag. She's telling the truth, because you can talk about the falling birth rate, but if your child is 14 and in a private school and you can no longer afford to keep them in that private school because you're going to have to pay VAT on the fees, and that 14-year-old comes out, it doesn't matter about the falling birth rate.
What?
If there's no room in the classroom. Yes, Ed.
In the next 4 years.
No, I'm talking about in the next 6 months, Ed. Because this is a... Hang on, Ed.
Over the next 4 years,
hang on.
400,000 fewer places will be needed.
Ed, this is policy kicks in immediately. Right. So hang on. So this could be from January. So that, and some estimates say 40,000 children will be taken out of private schools. Where are they going to go?
But roles are going to fall by 400,000 in 4 years.
Yeah.
But what's about in the next 6 months?
Tell that to a parent who's trying to get into an oversubscribed
exactly, but that's true.
People watching the school say, where are these schools?
That was
and all the good schools are massively oversubscribed.
Of all the interviews, the 3 interviews go from Daisy Cooper, Lib Dems, Bridget Phillipson, Labour, Chris Philp, the Conservatives. That was a moment of clarity, right? It was
not according to Andrew.
It was a contradiction. It was a contradiction of a
colleague let the cat out the bag.
But the Institute for Fiscal Studies, the nearest we have to an independent adjudicator in this election, said there might be, I think it was 3 to 7 or 8% of kids in private schools might have to leave.
Where are they going to go, Kevin?
But the truth is,
where are they going to go?
Private schools are kicking pupils out in the state sector every week. I've seen it in my own kids' schools.
And now they're going to kick out even more because they can't afford the fees.
Look, I'm not going to get a hanky out and cry crocodile tears here, because this is about the education of 93%, the overwhelming majority of kids who will get their breakfast clubs and will get the 6,500 extra teachers.
And
the political class and the media just go on about fees without the benefits.
Well, it's Labour's going on about fees. Lib Dems, Daisy Cooper couldn't answer whether, if the Lib Dems got back into government in some way, shape or form, they would have a referendum on going back into the EU.
Going back into the EU is in the Lib Dems' DNA.
Let's have a look.
Do you want Britain to rejoin the European Union?
At some point in the future, obviously, I hope that we might have that opportunity, but that is not what's on the table in this general election in less than 4 weeks.
That definitely failed the clear test. Just say yes or no. I think it's yes. Yes is fine.
It's impossible to say when we might have the opportunity to renegotiate having a closer relationship with Europe, whether that's a single market or full membership.
If they won the general election, they would want it. It would be one of their priorities.
No.
Of course it would. It's in their DNA.
Kevin,
they want to be back in the EU.
Why is Brexit not a big issue that all the politicians...
I know. It is the rampaging elephant in the room they're trying to ignore when it's a £100 billion plus hit on the economy.
It's because Starmer tried to rewrite Brexit.
It's because Susanna
lovely to have you back.
and Storm, I don't want to fight the old battle.
Good morning, Britain. Back tomorrow
wrong.
from 6. Now it's time to join Lorraine and Calm.